Hello, and happy today your way. I'm your host, Chuck Beard, coming to you from the Kneecat Network PEG Studios right here in Music City, and this is Metro Arts Forging Ahead. This being our third show, 3 definitely feels like the magic number. Every episode of this show brings together 3 Nashville artists who you may or may not already know from their various professional titles and roles around town. Within each lineup of featured artists, their jobs vary. One is always someone who practices their art, but also works at a local arts organization or arts-related nonprofit. The second artist is an independent professional, and the third artist is someone who is also an employee within the Metro Nashville government. This is where I'd normally introduce the featured guests briefly before jumping into the rest of the setup and the show, but today I want to try something a little different. We have 2 featured guests who have worked together creatively and professionally and are dear friends. Ellen Angelico is the independent professional of today's show, and Kyshona Armstrong is the artist of the night who also works with an arts organization. Kyshona, could you give us a solid introduction about Ellen to the audience and for anyone who doesn't know how magical Ellen is already?
Solid. Okay.
Yes, let's get started.
Okay. This is my friend Ellen Angelico, who is a phenomenal multi-instrumentalist, unprofessional, professional comedian, and podcaster, researcher, and amazing long-haul driver. Ellen is low-key a great advocate for all things social and economical in Nashville. If you ever want to know what's not working in this community, you go to Ellen Angelico.
Do you remember the first time you met her?
Yes. I don't know if the place exists anymore, but I met Ellen at an In the Round I was playing when I first moved to town. Is that where I met you?
Really?
I hope so.
Was it not at Mercy Lounge for First She's a Rebel?
No.
Oh, it was before
It was before that. Ellen came up to me afterwards, very, very aggressively, just like, oh my God.
The checks.
Who are you?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, who is this energetic ball of fire? Yeah, I feel like that's the first time I met Ellen at a show I was playing. Just in the round, as I used to do when I would go out at night. And it started there, and then I know we did do She's a Rebel together, and that's when I learned Ellen can play the trombone, as well as guitar and all other things. And yeah, now Ellen is a really dear friend, and we have toured together for years now.
That was the first and last time she saw me play a trombone.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any plans to play the trombone anymore?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, how much will I get paid?
Exactly. That is the story.
For the right amount.
And play it well. Ellen, can you return the favor and pretend that nobody in the world but you knows all of the things that make Kyshona connect with this world in so many beautiful ways?
Why, yes, Chuck, I would love to consult my extensive notes that I took before coming here.
Years in the making.
For some reason. Kyshona is a multi-hyphenate. Her mission is to be a voice in a vessel for the lost, forgotten, and silenced, and she does not allow herself to be closed off to the different ways that she can affect her mission. To that end, she's a musical artist and has a gift for communicating other people's story in a way that invites you to listen, to understand, but she also tells her own story very well, and I think she's very brave in that way. She has an extensive professional background as a music therapist. This is so much less chill than Kyshona's introduction.
I know. I like this. I like this a lot.
A little horrified.
She has an I'm a little horrifying. She has an extensive professional background as a music therapist, and I feel like every time we talk, I learn about another city that she's lived in, another person's life that she's changed. She has a passion for connecting people with their own creative voice, which led her to start a nonprofit called Your Song, which connects and heals communities through songwriting. I am endlessly impressed by her accomplishments, but the main reason I love Kyshona is because she is fun. I don't not laugh when I hang out with Kyshona.
I wish I had notes in front of me now.
Would you like some of mine?
Actually, yes.
Anyway, that's what I got.
Well, not just the first time you met, but I feel like some people, it's the love at first sight thing comes to mind. But since you're both musicians, like I know for a lot of people, and maybe even a painter over here that has seen Kyshona sing, is like love at first sound. Was that instantly when you had that respect, and not only the talent, but just like the energy she gives? And we can pretend that she's not right beside you right now, so please do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I actually don't remember seeing you in that round, but based on what you said, that tracks with me, and that would be. I mean, I do that with people all the time. When somebody's making something that I feel gravitationally pulled towards, I don't fight it. And there's a reason for that. Something about their soul, something about their DNA is touching something in my soul. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened there.
So if it wasn't the first time what was the first time you thought you had met her?
I thought it was at She's a Rebel, but probably the only reason I thought that is because I used to do this show in town called She's a Rebel. It was a tribute to girl groups from the 50s and 60s. It was entirely performed by women and non-binary people from stem to stern, from vibraphone to videographer. Speaking of videographers, we always had a videographer, and so we have lots of footage from the shows. We have lots of B-roll and backstage footage, and there is some terribly embarrassing footage of me coming up to like a very startled seeming Kyshona and being like, "Oh God, you're so cool," something like that. And so that image in my mind is indelible because I've seen it more than once.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's embarrassing.
Thank you, Ellen, and Kyshona for playing with us for a little bit out of the ordinary. The third artist is someone who I've worked with creatively and professionally and consider a true friend. Josiah Golson is not only the Restorative Arts and Equity Manager for Metro Arts, but some people don't know that he is also an artist and a lawyer. He has served as the Programs Director at Stoveworks in Chattanooga, and he's the founder of 800 Collective, both of which we'll talk more about later today. I talk with Josiah almost every day and see him on the virtual meetings several times a week, but this week is the first time I've been lucky to see him in person since last year. I know I'm a better person and Nashville is a better creative city with Josiah in this ecosystem. With that being said, how are you doing, Josiah?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much I'm really grateful to be here. Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you for being here, but also just being in Nashville. How is that, just initial take of like being back in the physical energy of work and coworkers and the work that you're doing important in Nashville? Like, what does that feel like?
It just like it feels like normal, like and by normal I mean like healthy normal, like the fulfilling work of being among colleagues and people who have not only talents but character that you respect and that you try to honor with how you show up in the workspace, and then the larger community that those individuals like yourself are connected to, and feeling a part of that community and those communities, and just being connected, feeling further connected is really important.
Awesome. Well, I like this new normal, so I appreciate you being here. And if you're a longtime viewer, meaning you saw either of our first two episodes, you already know we always feature an artist doing a live painting to capture the essence of what each episode becomes in real time. The canvas for the live painting is provided by Jerry's Artorama, and the other materials for the artwork is provided by Turnip Green Creative Reuse. And all 10 paintings of the first season will be featured throughout the hallways of NECAT Network until the pop-up exhibit in December for the live season finale at the Forge. And today's live painter is Caitlin Blomstrom. Caitlin studied painting and printmaking in college, and Caitlin is an artist and arts professional with experience working in nonprofits, gallery administration, and project management. I first met her a few years ago when hosting events at Goodwood, Nashville, and I've loved following her artwork as much as and her professional journey in the making. She told me she creates paintings as a way to interpret her surroundings and to recontextualize everyday encounters. Say that 3 times fast. Caitlin, we are honored to have you here with us today. First of all, tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. And, in each show, I've given each live painter and guest a theme of the episode. Many of us with kids teaching just finished MNPS spring break and kind of just went off of the, making your own break before the universe breaks us, which can mean anything contextually, local or nationally. I didn't know if you'd like to give us a preview of what idea you've started with your canvas.
Sure. I'm having a theme or deadline is always good for an artist, I think. And I wasn't trying to put myself too much in a box with the theme. I was just kind of thinking about it while I was making my own observations and work. But I think even just having this canvas provided as well gave me sort of a starting point. So today, I guess what everyone's seeing is like an underpainting of a piece that I'm starting. I'm largely an observational painter, so that means that I paint things that I see. And so basically I've got these steps here are in my neighborhood, right across the street from me, that I watch a lot. I'm an artist, so it's not weird. And so I watch people interact with these stairs. I interact with them. They're sort of like these ghost stairs that exist in older neighborhoods. And so I painted this at a different time, and then now I'm incorporating it into this piece that I sort of like set up at home, just an image that I see a lot, and yeah.
Awesome. Is that the first time you've done paintings or any artwork related to those steps as well?
It actually is, it's one of those things, like as an artist or a writer, that you think of for like 10 years and like, okay, I'll do that. Or like, yeah, I'll paint those one day. And then I finally sat down and brought my easel outside and was that person sitting there at, sunset. And they're really special to me. So it's like, now I'm incorporating that time of sitting there, observing these stairs and thinking more about it.
Thank you. Sounds very meta. We'll get into it a little bit more later too. You may notice that big fella is not sitting right next to me. He is busy on several projects as well, but we should be getting some calls from him later on in the show. But I do want to emphasize again that big fella is the reason that we would say forging ahead, because his fellow vision is at the Forge. We have Metro Arts, we have NECAT, and we're all forging ahead together. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll get to hear more from these featured guests about the why behind what they do for work and art. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Coffee Talk with Metro Arts is a monthly, sometimes bi-monthly, community gathering where artists, neighbors, and those looking to get involved in the Nashville art scene can connect and share their stories, learn about upcoming projects and opportunities, and meet the people creating exciting new art in Nashville, all while enjoying a nice cup of coffee. For more details, visit us on the web at metroartsnashville.com.
Suppose for just a moment you were Nashville's government. You have a bit of money and you want some to be spent. And keeping Nashville beautiful's a priority for you. You want to help your people out too. What would you do? You could start a Metro Arts. 15 citizens on a commission. Art is what they know. Them and 5 committees decide where the money goes. And dedicated staff to see that all the work gets done, making Nashville better for everyone. You could start a Metro Arts. Public art and grants would each play a part. Occasionally embroiled in scandal, but it's nothing you can't handle. You should start a Metro Arts.
Ellen, you famous. Welcome. Welcome back to Metro Arts Forging Ahead. I'm your host, Chuck Beard. If you're just now joining us, our guests today are Josiah Golson and Ellen Angelico, Kyshona Armstrong, and Caitlin Blomstrom on the live painting. Diving right back into the thick of the Metro Arts portion of our show title, I'd love to focus on asking some questions to Josiah and Ellen, but apparently, I think we're getting a call from Big Fella, so we're going to throw it to Big Fella for a second.
All right, this question right here is for you, Josiah. Josiah, being an artist, a visual artist, a writer, an attorney, an organizer, most people can't use both sides of their brain like that, right? So does your analytical lawyer brain ever get in the way with your artist brain? Like, how do you balance that out? And yeah, how's that work, man? Explain it. The people want to know. People want to know.
Thank you so much for that question. I feel like the most direct way of answering that is just saying, I am Batman.
Did you say Batman or Batman?
Batman. It's like, the conflict is absolutely a part of it. Since before pursuing a full-time career as an artist, and before even going to law school, the aspiration to make both worlds work has definitely been a part of it. But from theory of the idea of, it would be great to take these skills and these interests and then merge them with these skills and these interests, and also skills that I would have yet to learn, that's a day-to-day thing, that every new opportunity or experience or work experience, including working with Metro Arts, creates a new opportunity for me to learn, okay, how much further can I connect these things? And so it's a practice, the way, what I love is the fact that, they refer to certain professions like law or medicine as practice because you never know everything. And it's something where you're constantly having to commit to learn new things. Art is treated the same way, where it's a practice. And no matter how good you are, you can continue evolving. And so the practice of meshing or combining those skills for the common interests and for community and with community especially is an ongoing thing. So just looking at it as a permanent journey is how I think I'm able to make that work.
You work it really well from the outside, and I know you can get closer. It's you are the truth and that man and Batman. So in that related follow-up kind of thing, I mean, Batman in two lives and two worlds, but doing them both well. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about specifically Stoveworks and 800 Collective and like Chattanooga, and then maybe bleed into the stuff that you're excited about with restorative arts. But like first and foremost, the Chattanooga stuff that you've founded and started.
Yeah, Chattanooga's my hometown, and it's proximate enough to Nashville that I was able to visit Nashville many times and have learned, I've like done programs at spaces like the Curb Center and with other organizations and just meeting a bunch of amazing artists. But Chattanooga, like also for the past decade, has been a base for me to learn and grow and develop as an artist and as an organizer, and really just try to figure out what are the best ways to like do all the things that you mentioned, one of which is 800 Collective, which is basically a program I started, this month makes 10 years ago since I started 800 Collective, which is just a way of inviting artists and community members to gather, and I would use visual art exercises and really simple, accessible activities, or maybe even not if they didn't seem simple, make them very inviting for people to use them to discuss things like affordable housing, healthcare, matters of interest to the community, to try to show how the arts and visual arts specifically could be a relevant tool for civic engagement. That grew and that developed, and in that, my work with city government in Chattanooga and other organizations and institutions and stakeholders developed, where I tried to figure out and learned how to really encourage the use of art as a tool for advocacy, which is how it evolved, where I was able to learn about opportunities at Metro Arts that naturally seemed to connect to the work I've been doing over the past 10 years.
Awesome. Well, speaking of Metro Arts in a tangential way, I think we're getting another message from Big Fella. So I think we're going to go to that.
All right, so this question is for you, Uncle Ellen. What up, Uncle Ellen? You know, all the kids, they call me Uncle Willie, so we working it right there. Uncle Ellen, you might have had one of the most prolific Metro lines that I've ever heard in the song. What'd you say? It's just a little scandal, but it ain't nothing you can't handle. Get you a Metro Arts. That right there was epic, and I appreciate you for it. Now my actual question for you is, okay, so it says that you are, word on the streets, that you are one of the greatest utility players in Nashville, and you can play everything. Question is, what all do you play? What was your first instrument? And what's your favorite instrument?
Great question, big fella. I'm so sad you're not here to make me laugh in person. My first instrument was guitar. I play most stringed instruments, most fretted instruments. I don't really do like woodwinds, but lock me in a hotel room and for a weekend, and I'll scare all the guests away with my attempt at saxophone. But I'll be playing Careless Whisper by the end of it. And lately, my favorite instrument to play is the pedal steel guitar, because it is connecting me with a sense of discovery and exploration that I haven't felt as strongly since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. And when was the trombone? The 50th instrument, or was that?
Trombone. I learned trombone in high school because I had been playing bass in the orchestra, but they needed me to go on a jazz band trip. But I didn't want to just not play in the band, and so my band director was like, well, you already read bass clef, and trombone is God's instrument, so you should play trombone. And I said, all right. And I was the second chair trombone player because there was only two of us. So it was just going to be me or Danny. And Danny was much better.
I wonder what Danny's doing today.
I think he got married.
Right, they do. They do that. Speaking of, we got 3 minutes till the next segment, and we will talk about it more in a minute, but speaking of Girl in a Hurry, give us a little synopsis of what that is to you. Read your notes and go to the Cliff Notes, but we'll talk more about it later, but just give a synopsis before we, in a hurry.
Yeah, every 5 years I get a wild hair to do something creative and expressive. In the past, this is primarily manifested as silly country songs about unrequited love, but this time I decided to embark on telling the story of a woman named Shelley Bush. She was a singer and an artist. People called her the Queen of Broadway, the honky tonks in Nashville. And what I loved about her story is she had an enormous impact on her community utterly unintentionally. She was not trying to empower women musicians. She was not trying to create this expansive network of talented people who weren't being given a chance in the music business. But just by being herself, that's what she did. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was a really beautiful story that a lot of artists and just anybody could benefit from hearing. And she was my friend.
I was going to say, how did that come about? Like when the first time you met them, or the story was like, hey, I want to do a story, because you haven't done a podcast of Kyshona's music yet, but I'm just saying, Why her first?
Right. Yes, it's a fair question. Why did I bump Shelley in front of the line in front of Kyshona? Well, for starters, Shelley is dead.
Yes.
So that was a really easy entry point. She couldn't rebut anything that I would say about her.
Gotcha.
Shelley, well, I played in Shelley's band in the last 2 years of her life, and I was in the process of doing an oral history project about her life, collecting all of these interviews and stories from people who played with her, and I realized that it was too much information for the uninitiated to pass through unguided, and that it would be her story would be better served with a narrative. And I decided that no one else was seeming to do it, so I did it. I also realized it was still an oral history project when I realized that the 10th anniversary of her passing was coming up. And I wanted to get my ducks in a row and complete the project to mark the 10th anniversary of her passing, which was this past Valentine's Day, February 14, 2025.
And again, before we go to a segment or anything, like where can people find out about that podcast?
Girlinahurry.com.
Speaking of Girl in a Hurry, we're going to go right to Caitlin and check in with you for literally a minute. How's the canvas coming along, and where are you at?
It's coming along. Right now I'm working on this shadow color for the tree shadow, which my reference is over here. And just making shadow colors is always fun because it kind of undulates and changes, and depending on how close or how far the object is. Yeah.
And from being on the other side of the studio, is there anything that you heard in the first segment that you are just speaking into the canvas at all, or in your head?
I think just people being creative and being who they are out loud is always the best route to go, because you're always going to find someone else who can brighten that light and join forces, I think, and strengthen your concepts and ideas, or change them. And yeah, I think even just this whole panel of everybody doing what they do best, being themselves, I'm putting that into my canvas.
Yeah, it's hard to do it in 12 minutes versus like spending an entire day with this group right here, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. These are first world problems. So thank you for sharing, Caitlin. We'll check back in with you in a minute, and we're going to take a quick break here at Metro Arts Forging Ahead. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from today's guest about all the work they're doing these days, so please stay tuned.
The Forge Nashville mission is to give more people affordable access to the professional tools, space, and support they need to succeed as a maker and artist, and to provide new opportunities to youth and underserved communities. Welcoming beginners, passionate creators, and aspiring entrepreneurs, The Forge changes lives. The Forge has a place for everyone. Whether you're looking for a full table in a shop, a community co-working space, or just want to support Nashville's makers. To find out more, visit us online at theforgenashville.org. The Forge Nashville. Meet your makers.
Metro Arts' vision is that every person should have access to a creative life, and few places are more accessible than our city's public library. Metro Arts launched the collection in partnership with Nashville Public Library, established with the goals of expanding access to the arts for all Nashvillians while providing direct support to local artists. 60 original artworks from Nashville area artists are available for anyone with a library card to check out at NPL's Donaldson, East, Green Hills, Hermitage, Madison, Old Hickory, and Southeast locations. For more information and to browse the collection online, please visit library.nashville.gov.
Welcome back to Metro Arts Forging Ahead. I'm your host again, Chuck Beard, in conversation with a few Nashville artists who inspire me and many others in the city. Speaking of artists who inspire pretty much everyone they meet, I want to hear more from Kyshona. Kyshona, you do something truly incredible at every show you perform. Would you be willing to share the speech you give regarding your legacy and tribute to ancestors as your unofficial, amazing intro to every crowd?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, I am Kyshona, and I am the daughter of Hawthorne and Betty Armstrong. I am the grandchild of Al Marie Boyd and Moses Boyd. I am also the grandchild of Eva Ashford Kennedy and Hawthorne Armstrong. And I am the great-grandchild of Sidney James and Willie James, Ebenezer and Cornelius Kennedy. I'm the great-great-grandchild of Patsy Irby, and the great-great-great-grandchild of Margaret and Henry Irby.
That's awesome. It inspires me at the same time. It makes me feel lazy about not knowing my family tree. So it's like, I'm so sorry, but also,
Well, but also I don't have all the names.
Yeah.
So I'm adding names as I find them, and it's something I think is important. Whenever I start a show, it's a reminder to me that I'm not showing up alone. You know, so even if you only have your parents and your grandparents, it's still proof you're not there alone.
No, where did that start from? Was it like, I mean, because it could be several different tactics of like, oh, I'm nervous to go on, and like you said, bringing my troupe with me and be around, surrounded with the energy, or where was that initial, like, I want to do this, you know, moment?
I think subconsciously I've always done it, because I am always nervous when I stand on stage. And so I used to always stay behind, before walking out on stage, I always say, please get me out of the way. So whatever the audience needs to hear, may they hear it, and may I not block whatever I need to receive from the audience, right? So there's that openness. But then I always look up whenever I'm performing, not out at the audience, I look above, because I've tried to imagine that I'm bringing my ancestors into the space, and that's who I'm singing for, right? But also, I think it started with this song I have called On the Line. It's kind of an old gospel quartet standard style. And my grandpa H.T. used to sing in the gospel quartet, and my father sings in a gospel quartet. So it's my way of honoring them and getting kind of settled in a space before I start launching into the mission, right? And then with this legacy project that I released last April, I think it just naturally came up, you know what, I'm gonna say everybody's name. I really wanna, there's a way that by the time I get to my great-great-great-grandma Margaret's name, I feel powerful. I'm always standing a little taller, and it takes me out of my nerves, because I'm like, I'm speaking for her. She didn't get this opportunity to speak her truth, tell her story. And that's who I'm standing here for, no matter what nerves are in front of me. For this formerly enslaved woman who was also blind, but nobody knew, and who worked hard for the land that she purchased, and we still have in the family, like, that's who I'm here for. And so I think it gives me a little backbone.
It's like a soul icebreaker, but it also, I love how it sets the tone not only for you, but for the audience. I've been in the audience when it happens, and it's just a nice feeling. And aside from maybe one of your good friends having like 5 pages of notes to read in official, it's a perfect introduction for you and everything you do. So you want to say that. Yeah, I think, wait, what is that? Big's here again, so maybe we want to hear from Big.
Thank you for the introduction, Chuck, AKA Chucky Boo Boo. Look, first and foremost, to everybody on the panel, appreciate y'all for being part of this. And I got a couple questions. First, Kyshona, I love your voice. I love your voice, woman. Tell me this. I see you do music therapy, right? When you do music therapy with a client, how do you approach it? Like, what's your process, you know? And how long does it take to see results from music therapy? You know, inquiring minds want to know, because I need some help. I need some therapy. Do you take insurance?
Lovely questions, and honestly, kind of complex questions too. How do you do music therapy? It depends on where you're walking and what spaces you're walking into. My simple way of defining music therapy is the use of music to achieve a non-musical goal. But it must be provided by someone who has gone to school, sat for the board exam, done many, many hours of clinical work and continuing education courses, right? So you have to be very qualified so that you know when you're walking into a space what goals you are trying to reach. So it depends on if I'm sitting with geriatrics that are experiencing memory, like cognition decline, you know, then I might kind of assess the group right away of like, okay, I think we are just going to do reminiscence today. We're going to sing songs from their generation. And my whole goal is always, how can I insert joy and create a moment of like conversation? I'm always wanting to connect people. So it might look like I'm entertaining and just up there giving a concert. But in truth, I'm inviting my participants to tell me stories about, if we're singing Tennessee Ernie Ford, 16 tons. Anybody ever grow up in a coal mine in town? You know, what was that like? How much were groceries? You know, and then seeing where that goes from there. I like showing up very much like how I showed up today, a little unprepared, because it allows me to go with the flow and meet the client where they are. You know, with my organization, Your Song, I've moved more into doing therapeutic songwriting, so it's less behavioral modification and more on journaling and people getting in touch with body and their minds. And so the way that I'm doing music therapy now is encouraging people to journal, to find their voice, and then using song as the way to show them that their experiences in life aren't anything to be disappointed in or sad about. It's something that can honestly help someone else in the future. And I think song is the best vehicle to encourage people, because we all know a song seed. Somebody hums something and then we're like walking away singing that same song, and it's like a mantra. What was the second part of this question? I don't remember. But
he needs help, so I'm going to give you
Cool.
his phone number after
Cool,
this
yeah.
segment for sure. That's part of it. But, you know, again, sticking to a structure, but then throwing the script out. I mean, I kind of want to go down the line of the rest of the artists, including Caitlin, and just talk about, give your answer of like how art, your specific art or what you do for art is your version of therapy, or like how it helps you cope with the world. And I'm going to do the Tonight Show thing and just show Josiah's one of his books. But if you want to speak to this and what this entails, I know Kyshona already saw it beforehand and has been inspired by it. But if you can speak to this and how people can, or how it helped you through the process of what you're doing, and then Ellen and Caitlin, if y'all could follow up and just talk about how art helps you all cope.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So the project is called Festival, and it's basically the book illustrates the process of me putting together an art installation that told the story of a teenage music lover's bedroom wall as it evolves, as they go from genre to genre of music, falling in and out of love with their heroes, and basically just growing up trying to find community and identity through music. And that was always a thing that was important to me, finding voices and then tapping into my own, which art, whether it's shared or whether it's just me writing for myself in the morning, is important, of constantly reminding myself that I'm blessed with a voice, and then that voice is agency. And when you're able to connect with others through that, it's life-sustaining. You know.
Ellen, how about you with your music specifically?
I think recognizing maybe that my creativity isn't just my music, and that my creativity can manifest in all different areas of my life, and all of those sometimes stupid little rabbit holes that I go down connect me more with my purpose. Kyshona's really good at knowing her purpose, knowing her compass, and always having that vision not too far forward so you know you're headed in the right direction. And if it's my music, or if it's a stupid little YouTube video that I make at work, or it's a podcast, or it's an article I write, or it's running into a friend at the coffee shop and making them laugh, those are all ways that I feel more connected with myself, I feel more connected with the world around me, and it helps me better see my place in the universe, however small it may be.
I love how, as you're listing those things, each of us are like, yeah, I've seen that, checked it off the list of every single thing, even the coffee shop, like with that. So what about you, Caitlin, checking in with you, and how just, again, not just the canvas there, but how does art help you cope with everything life?
Yeah, well, I think I went to art school, so it was not helping me cope for a long time. It was like really a place of self-critic in my mind to actually make the work. So I think like this idea that like painting is relaxing has never resounded with me. It's always a problem solving. It's like trying to figure out how you want to represent the thing that you're looking at or the thing that you want to get across. But I coming back to your question, lately as I'm getting older, I'm able to kind of let go more of that inner critic and just paint the things that I notice. And from that, it is a therapy, because allowing yourself to represent the things that matter to you, then you step back and you can see the through line. I've learned a lot about myself in the last few years just by letting go and just letting that voice come through, which isn't always easy, I think.
Yeah. It's all, we all, as artists and in the making, it's like you forget that you have to go through the struggles of learning how to write before you can creatively write, and finding the voice, like what all you are saying, and
being able to
whatever
break the
medium
rules,
is, and finding
yeah.
the joy of why you wanted to do it in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So, thank you for being here and not being stressed out about painting, if nothing else, in the canvas. So, we need to take one more quick break here on Metro Arts Forging Ahead before our final segment. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll be right back.
What's kneecap?
A place for anyone.
Sure. NECAT Network.
That's Nashville Education, Community, and Arts Television.
Everyone knows that.
But did they know that NECAT runs 3 television stations that serve counties all over Middle Tennessee?
We know that! But what a lot of people don't know is that NECAT is also an active community partner.
That's right. We're more than a television network. We love Nashville, and we love supporting as many organizations any way we can.
From Friends Life to Nashville Predators Foundation, NECAT provides studio access and training to help community organizations. So when you think of NECAT,
remember, we're way more than a television station.
We're Nashville. Thank you, Predators!
Metro Nashville Arts Commission, or Metro Arts, is the Office of Arts and Culture for the City of Nashville and Davidson County. We believe that arts drive a more vibrant and equitable community. We strive to ensure that all Nashvillians have access to a creative life through community investments, artist and organizational trainings, public art, and direct programs that involve residents in all forms of arts and culture. For more information on Metro Arts, visit us on the web at metroartsnashville.com.
All right, welcome back to Metro Arts Forging Ahead. Again, I'm your host, Chuck Beard. Today we've had a big time learning from Josiah Golson, Kyshona Armstrong, Ellen Angelico, and Caitlin Blomstrom. In this last segment, with everything going on in our world today, I want to pick back up where we left off with the power of art healing everything and everyone. And wait a second, I'm getting that Big is still in the building somewhere, so can we go to Big for some more questions?
All right, y'all. Look, final questions for all of y'all, right? From your perspective, what is one thing that Nashville is missing, or that Nashville could add, that would just make it a better experience for you as an artist, or more conducive for you as an artist? What's your one thing?
I'm gonna go where we left off. Let's go back to Caitlin to start this one off and what he asked.
I think, I'm a visual artist, so Music City kind of is the prevailing overarching genre, I think, of the city. And for me, I don't know that it's a critique of Nashville or what it could be doing better, but artist community is always important to me, and just having DIY spaces and artist-run spaces where dialogue can flow is extremely important to me.
Cool. Reverse order. Ellen, what you got?
An ocean, Chuck. Yeah. An ocean. No, I can't pick just one thing.
Yeah.
I'm too in the process of how cities are to pick just one thing.
Well, I like to think of it like if you, the whole lottery thing, you know, like if you won the lottery tomorrow, would it change anything? I think that Kyshona would still be playing music. Like,
yeah.
You could go travel on a jet or go to a plane an island, but you'd still do music, I would believe. So like that same question with Nashville, what would you do if you had those resources? Or, again, that's an easy answer when you have all the money, but.
If I had all the money, I would fund a much more expansive public transportation system. I would build so much affordable housing, it would make your head spin, and I would relentlessly lobby to reform the zoning code. All very sexy things, which is why I initially went with ocean.
Yeah. But it's all connected, right? You make those things better than by default the music and the artists and everybody else will.
it is my deeply held personal belief that people who are closest to a problem in society are closest to the solution. And I think that by creating the conditions for the people at the bottom of society's ladder to flourish, you create the conditions for the whole city to flourish.
Josiah, follow that up.
You can go with ocean if you want.
Or a river, you know.
I don't know. It's one of those, and you know, every city and every township and every community, I think, shares in like difficulty in trying to answer a question like this, and what improves the lives of artists, which in many ways they're the things that would improve the lives of everyone. I absolutely relate to Caitlin's response as a visual artist, knowing the power that reputation and branding can have for a city and what it can attract, but what it can also make invisible or put in the blind spots when really trying to define who artists are and making that one audience or the other, and not realizing that artists are looking out for each other most of the time before any of them get any attention. So in thinking intentionally about how to increase the access and the opportunities in an ecosystem, it's important to strip away the hierarchy of what arts matter the most, and define and not limit the definitions of what art is, and that helps you think about artists from the incredible performers you'll see to the people that are working 9-to-5s or doing other things or working multiple jobs to make ends meet and endure the critical economic conditions and still have a lot of beautiful things to say in beautiful ways.
Again, follow that up, Kyshona. You got it. I know you do. You do. You're right there beside them. It's all one conversation. It's not one-upping each other. It's like what adding your point to it, right? Like,
And everyone has, I'm following the thread, right? Because if I think back to, I've only been here 11 years, and I didn't think I would be here this long. I thought I would be here a year and a half, maybe 2 years, right? And the thing that has kept me here is my community of artists, is my community of other creatives. Because it's this open-handed, what can I do to connect you? What can I do to help? You should know this person is not the tight-fisted, mine. But as Nashville has grown, there's this push and pull, because Nashville does not reflect that to me. The music community is still, the arts community is still doing this, what can I do to help in connecting? But we're also being pushed out of so many places. The places that I met my community no longer exist. Where Ellen and I both referenced a space that we remember, you know, our own times meeting each other, but like neither one of those places are there anymore in that sense. And I think there has also been this segregation in the arts. You have visual arts over here, dance over here, theater here, music over here, and everybody's catering to the music. Meanwhile, we're all creative in so many different ways. So how can we bring all of the arts together? I have an artist friend, her name is Shannon Labrie, and Shannon was a singer-songwriter, but then during pandemic got into vintage furniture, got this warehouse space, and now Shannon is bringing together not only the art of curating a space with furniture, but inviting in other visual artists to showcase their art, and having singer-songwriters there to tell a story surrounded by that art. And everybody that's coming to that space is like, oh, this is what Nashville used to be. And I think if we can keep finding spaces, and again, like both of y'all have said, hand it over to the artists. We got the answers. Hand it over to the community of people who do this, who make Nashville what it is. And I think we will, and we do, keep the magic of this place alive but all of the shiny stuff popping up detracts from the gritty beauty here.
No, that face was like, period. That was an answer that was justifiable. Not wrong. No, it's great. Like you were just saying, the panoramic with all the arts. I mean, again, when you're not in the trenches of one and having the pitfalls of a narrative twisted of this versus this or this, it's like if we just all came together. And it's like we have the best soundtrack when soundtracks used to be a thing for like the score of Nashville and the visual arts and everything else. It's like if it's all just one thing. Going full circle back to the beginning when you two gave introductions for each other, I didn't know if you could do like just really quickly, since we got a little bit of time, Ellen, if you could say what your impressions are, your description of, you forget the notes, of your song, and then vice versa, if you could give just a little skinny trailer of what your impression is from Girl in a Hurry, from your action as a friend supporting another friend that's doing something awesome both ways. If y'all want to spend like 30 seconds, just a quick shot of what you think of your song.
30 seconds on your song?
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about your song is the way that Kyshona has taken her unique ability to make the world a better place and divided it and metastasized it. She's created a structure for it to grow beyond what she can do in her physical body. And she's proof positive that her mission is expandable and that it's not just, yes, Kyshona is special, obviously. But her principles are universal, and her principles can be implemented and can outlive her and outlive us. And it's kind of all tied back with her album legacy, and I think she's leaving a really beautiful legacy, and I think that you should all give $20 to your song right now.
To her legacy.
Yeah.
Now, Girl in a Hurry, quickly, say what you think.
Girl in a Hurry is, I think, Ellen honoring someone who like played a big part in your beginning here in Nashville. This is Ellen honoring someone else's legacy, but also, even though Ellen is so good at supporting other artists as a utility player, and Girl in a Hurry is Ellen doing the same thing, but by telling the story of this person and bringing the music back, making it relevant again. I always say, and I said this to Ellen before, they say we die, what, 2 deaths? The first is when we leave this earth. The second is when the last person ever speaks our name. And for Ellen to have brought Shelley's name back out into the world keeps her alive, you know. And I think that's really beautiful what you've done.
Thanks,
Cool.
Kyshona.
And really quickly down the line, if you want to share, before we go back to the live painting and Caitlin to wrap things up, just say where people can find your information and your artwork and all that stuff, just going down the line. Go ahead, Kyshona.
Yeah, so for my music, you can go to Kyshona.com. And for any information on therapeutic songwriting and my music therapy work, yoursong.org.
MetroArtsNashville.gov for all things Metro Arts. And for my own work, like the book you shared, JosiahGolson.com.
Awesome, thanks.
And you can find me at ellenangelico.com.
Awesome. And Caitlin, I want you to briefly talk about, I know you're deeply involved with the Coop Gallery, so if you want to say something about that and also talk about the canvas.
Yeah, of course. So I'm an artist member of Coop Gallery, which is the oldest actually artist-run gallery in Nashville. We're over in Wedgwood, Houston, in the packing plant. And so we are, like I said, an artist-run organization. We've got about 20 members, and I'm on the board. And we host solo shows every year for artists. We do an open call. Nationally usually, but last year as a board we decided to only open up the open call to Tennessee artists, just as a reaction to arts funding in general in this country, sort of on a downturn. And so we've got representatives from Eastern, Middle, and Western Tennessee. And it's actually created an interesting dialogue between us as artist members at Coop. We've met a lot of other artists in Tennessee and just strengthened that network. But we're a nonprofit, and you should come out for Art Crawl.
And can you tell them where to find your artwork as well?
Yes, my artwork, you can search me, it's CaitlinBlomstrom.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think we're hearing Big for one more message, maybe?
Look, thank y'all for watching Metro Arts Forging Ahead with NECAT, MPL, WXNA, The Forge, Television. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. Come back next time, and we'll see you.
Thank you, Big. Hope to see you soon. I'd like to thank a few more people. Thanks to everyone on the show, everyone listening and watching this show, everyone at NECAT, Cameron, Eric, Sam, and the crew behind the cameras, everyone smiling in the live audience, Coop Gallery, Jerry's Artorama, Turnip Green Creative Reviews, Your Song, and you, the viewer. We are going to end every Metro Arts Forging Ahead episode this season with the final word, as it should be, from one of our featured artists before she does what she do. I want to say this past year with Metro Arts has been a wild ride, but I certainly want to sincerely thank you for tuning in here today and for staying tuned for more great stuff soon. Handing the curtain call back to Kyshona Armstrong with her final words of the day. One last time here, my name is Chuck Beard, and I hope you're feeling better about your Nashville world after listening to some of our creative friends and seeing how they are making Nashville and the world a more beautiful place. Kyshona, please share your power.
I love ending my shows with this song. It's just a reminder that no matter how different we are, how different we love, who we love, how we love, what we believe, and how we choose to believe in that, if you look beyond our differences, we all bleed the same. And if we can remember that as we go forward, it's the simplest way to remember to love first. This is called Same Blood. Oh man, Moses, he's wading in the river, trying to wash his hands free of the blood and the pain. Gotta tell his children why we kill each other, how after 2,000 years we still live this way. In the home of the brave, in the land of the free. If you're telling the truth, you got enemies. But it don't matter what you believe, no, no. We all bleed the same blood. We all bleed the same blood, same blood. We all bleed the same blood, same blood, same blood. We carry the sins of our fathers for years. We've learned how to hate, and we've learned what to fear. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Can't undo all the bad that's been done. Can't put that bullet back in the gun. All you can do is try to love someone else. For goodness sake, won't you love someone? We all bleed the same blood. We all bleed the same blood, same blood. We all bleed the same blood, same blood, same